today's video we're going to be focusing on Hiya Toys. What is the next giant step for improvement when it comes to their Godzilla figures with articulation? To emphasize, their sculpts are superb, no question about that. They are dead on accurate. Give us a big improvement with the new neck articulation, but they had to sacrifice downwards articulation, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we're missing on this figure. The feedback that I would give Hiya Toys for a updated version of Godzilla for the future, they should add a cut around this section right here that will allow the figure to look downwards even better. The next section, it's an improvement, no doubt about that, but I think they can add a better ball joint system where it allows the figure to look upwards and downwards even better. I want to bring the MonsterArts. Look at how MonsterArts has three sections or three cuts around the back section. One right here, 2 and 3. That allows the figures to have better movement compared to Hiya Toys. I want to give you a demonstration of how the articulation works for the Hiya Toys. So really it can't look downwards to look at his enemies or any down movement. Now the MonsterArts simply has better articulation to look up and downwards even better because of this system. Okay, so this is the cut that Hiya Toys needs for their updated version. I'm going to do a simulation of how it would work if MonsterArts didn't have this third cut right here. So I'm going to hold this section down. Movement is almost identical to the Hiya Toys. The figure can look up perfectly, but down movement is very limited. Now if I let go, you can see how the figure can look down even better because of that system. So this is what MonsterArts has over Hiya Toys. We all know that both of them have great sculptures, but this isn't about a versus. It's giving Hiya Toys feedback for a better articulated figure, and I think if they just add this single cut right here around the shoulders, it's going to make a huge difference. This is as far as the Hiya Toys can look down. This is MonsterArts. Notice the difference between both of them and how much better articulation is. This is another great example of how much articulation makes a difference with a single cut if it was done on the Hiya Toys. MonsterArts can look downwards even better. With Hiya Toys, it's very limited. Now, I have a modified Hiya Toys with a modified ball joint. Here's the original untouched. Notice anything difference between both of them? I'll give you a few seconds or a few minutes to look at them and tell me in the comment section down below before I give you the actual answer. On the modified one, I modified it to be able to look downwards even better, whereas this one is very limited still. Now I'm going to demonstrate you how far downwards articulation is for the original one. So that's as much. Now notice on the modified one how it looks downwards even better. It tells you that with a simple modification you can get so much more movement out of a Hiya Toys that's modified compared to the original. This is the original untouched, this is the modified one. Looking downwards to their maximum limit that they can go, huge difference. One of them just looks like it's looking straight forwards. The modified one looks downwards perfectly, really nice. For anybody that thinks I'm capping, look, I'm going to push it to its maximum downwards potential. See? Still nowhere near as the modified one. Test demonstration shows you that with two simple modifications with the updated Hiya Toys, if it's done in the future and they look at this video, this one, the modified version versus the original. Now, if it's looking downwards this much, just imagine if they added that extra cut around the back section like MonsterArts. They added this cut that I mentioned on their Hiya Toys figure. It would make another huge difference. It would give a much improved figure to the overall customers. Other feedback that I would suggest Hiya Toys to improve would be on the arms, hands, like MonsterArts. You see how movement is much better and it allows you to pose this figure in ways that simply Hiya Toys can't do. Hiya Toys gives you the simple and basic movement. You know, it's not a big deal, but it doesn't hurt for their figures to have that extra touch and that extra articulation. Not like they're going to engineer the figure completely from the ground up. It's only modifying 2 or 3 things. The cut right here, the modified neck, and the arms/elbows to give you better improvement with their movement and articulation. I'm going to demonstrate the original one. It has an interesting ball joint and I'll explain. Notice how the original Godzilla 2021 can look downwards as much as the modified version that I have right here. That's because the system that it has with their ball joints is different to the updated version, which I'll explain and show you guys right now. Look at this ball joint. It's much shorter, but something interesting is that it allows the figure or the head to look down and up because of this little modified section or this section on the figure. See how it looks down and it looks all the way up? That's brilliant. Now imagine if they could do something like this on a new updated version for Godzilla X Kong. Ball joint is going to be much longer as the updated version, but it's going to have this system where it's going to allow the figure to look downwards this much and upwards this much. Brilliant, right? Notice how their updated ball joint is a single piece, much longer, and it doesn't have what the original one had. That's why when it looks down, you're very limited compared to the older version, which had this little piece that allows the figure to look all the way down, all the way up. Now if they took this engineering piece, made it as long as this, added that section right here, cut it, allow the figure to look down and up, brilliant. Now that you've seen the comparison, I hope I made my points clear as to how much it makes a big difference when you do small changes onto figures like this, comparing them to their original counterparts, something that's modified. Next year, the competition between both companies is going to be extremely rough. I have a feeling that MonsterArts is not going to stay behind and they're going to deliver a new figure from the ground up with brand new designs, brand new details. There's no doubt in my mind MonsterArts is going to keep delivering the same figure they've been using since 2019 to 2023. It's been making them look extremely lazy. It's been putting them to shame. So the only way for them to really counter what Hiya Toys is doing is deliver a much bigger figure, a more accurate figure with a new sculpture, new details, and a better Kong. Think about this for a second. Right now MonsterArts has fantastic articulation. The sculpture compared to Hiya Toys is a night and day difference, obviously, right? Just imagine what would happen if MonsterArts was to redesign their legendary version. It would capture a lot of fans. Again, it would make fans go crazy, and then Hiya Toys would look bad because Hiya Toys would be limited to their articulation to what they have right now. Sure, they might have a beautiful sculpture, accuracy, good articulation, but if MonsterArts strikes back with even better articulation, an amazing sculpture, Hiya Toys is gonna have to think of something, and that's the way that I see it. The only way for Hiya Toys to come back is if they deliver yet again a V3 or a updated version to what they have already. This is going to force both companies in a way to compete with each other and force them to do something new and improve on what they already delivered those past years. Again, my feedback has already been given to Hiya Toys of how they can improve on what is already a great figure. Don't take away or don't fix what isn't broken, but instead improve on what is broken and what has issues. We can apply the same logic to their Kong. They have great sculptures, but their articulation is simply not there when you are comparing it to MonsterArts. MonsterArts right now might not have the best sculptures, but they sure do have, hands down, the best articulation in the market. Ultimately, Hiya Toys, all they have to do is go back, revisit those figures, update them with more articulation, make them much better. Yes, I believe they can do both accuracy, details, and articulation. I don't think adding 2 more segments of articulation could raise the price any higher. You're literally just updating a small section, not designing the figure from the ground up 100%. No, that's not the case. But here's the catch. If they don't do that, sooner or later, I have a feeling that MonsterArts is going to catch up. And it's a fact. I still believe that there is no way they're going to use the same molds for Godzilla vs. Kong for the next MonsterVerse installments. It's obvious MonsterArts has been sculpting, has been planning out, and has been looking at what Hiya Toys has been doing with their marketing, with their sculptures, and how fans have been reacting to both positive and negative feedback. Now, it all comes down to which company is going to listen to their fans first, which company is going to do something different and deliver something that really we've been asking for or needs to be improved, like on this version. Again, very great updated version with their V2, no doubt about that. There's always room for improvement until we hit that perfection. Comment down what can be improved with Hiya Toys and what can be improved with MonsterArts, and have a realistic thought. Don't be unrealistic and say nonsense that isn't going to happen. Be realistic, give it some thought to it, and then write your comment, because I'm really curious as to what you think Hiya Toys is missing with their updated version on Godzilla and what MonsterArts can do. Do you really believe MonsterArts is going to update their legendary version? The topic with MonsterArts, a lot of people dislike them or totally hate them. Why? Because it's a company that doesn't take feedback, or apparently they say they take feedback, but we see no changes throughout the years with their figures. Now, the other topic is it's a mystery box. You can open the figure, and out of the box it can come in multiple parts. It falls apart, there's issues, there's sculpt issues, there's always something that has to happen with MonsterArts. You know, the final promotion looks amazing, it has amazing articulation, but then when you receive your final product, it's a mystery that can be good or bad. They never seem to listen to fans. They have extremely high prices with no effects. That's currently what most people are fighting with MonsterArts. Now, on the negative side with Hiya Toys, as far as I know, there's very little. Sure, I've heard some fans complain about certain things here and there, saying that this company is starting to become like MonsterArts and not listening to fans, but I personally have not experienced that thus far. We've seen that they're willing to take feedback from their older version and apply it to their newer version. It's always great to have a company that looks at fans' videos, influencers, takes feedback from any social media out there, feedback that is actually genuinely good for their figures and their fans, and most people do agree and put some thought into what can be improved. But it's also said that Hiya Toys is a combination of NECA and their own, or a combination of NECA and MonsterArts, giving you a figure that's in between. Now, of course, a lot of people like to believe that Hiya Toys is the superior figure to MonsterArts. They like to believe that it has better articulation, that it has a better price point, and that it has a better sculpture. While I do agree with some points and some of their thoughts, in my personal opinion, they have very amazing sculptures and details. Don't get me wrong. The price points are in between. I would have to say they're not too expensive, but also not cheap, okay? That leaves them in a in-between section between both companies. But for people to be capping and saying that Hiya Toys has better articulation than MonsterArts, that's literally false. There's a difference between giving your opinion and going with actual facts. Count the articulation on the MonsterArts. Go and look at their website and compare how much articulation or segments their Godzilla has to Hiya Toys. You can't go against the facts and what you believe is to be the truth out there. That's not a realistic thing, okay? So ultimately, MonsterArts in my eyes has the superior articulation. Hiya Toys delivers great articulation, great details, and amazing accuracy with their sculptures. I don't believe Hiya Toys beats MonsterArts when it comes to articulation. Put both figures in a test and see how many poses they can do. Next year, there's going to be a lot of factors as to who's going to win this competition between both of them, and no doubt people are putting them up against each other. Price point is a very valuable thing for a lot of customers. It's what determines if they go with MonsterArts or Hiya Toys. Accuracy and articulation, accessories could give them an edge over another one. As an example, if MonsterArts launches a brand new redesigned Legendary Godzilla, right? It looks fantastic. Hiya Toys does the same thing, right? A lot of people are going to have a hard time, but if Hiya Toys was to add that extra accessories with their figures, then it would give them the edge, even though both of them would be tied. And yeah, honestly, it's going to come down to who gives the better price, the best articulation, the best features with their figures, and what's going to actually change and how much they can capture from what we saw on screen with those monsters like Godzilla, Kong. Talk about advantages. If Hiya Toys was to revisit monsters that have been done by MonsterArts, right? For example, Shin Godzilla. We know that their Shin Godzilla is fantastic, but for some reason, some people also still believe that their head is inaccurate. I don't see that, but that's your opinion, and that's okay. What can Hiya do, and how much can it really change and improve with something that MonsterArts has already done? Well, the advantages come into what fans liked about that figure and what fans didn't like, and how much they can add and improve. Okay, articulation, I doubt that it's going to be as good as MonsterArts. That's a given for sure. They could add accessories that could give them an advantage. Another advantage would be the price point, giving it that small accuracy that MonsterArts doesn't have for some people that simply have a problem with MonsterArts. Doing something that MonsterArts hasn't done, like adding those humanoid creatures from his tail on the back, that would be something that fans would totally go crazy and would definitely prefer. For me as a professional reviewer, and I've been doing this for more than a decade, I think that I'm qualified to give you guys my opinion, and you can take it or leave it. At the end of the day, everybody has their own opinions, and that's okay. But as a professional that's been in the YouTube game for so many years, I think I'm qualified enough to give valid points, valid feedback to both companies, and as a reviewer and consumer as to how I see this going down. I'm not looking to pick up the same figure twice or multiple times, and a figure that has really no difference between both companies. What's going to push me away from purchasing a Shin Godzilla from Hiya Toys if it eventually happens, if there's little difference between both companies? If it's literally the same figure just with small differences, that's going to be a hard pass for me, because as a reviewer and consumer, I'm not looking to have a clone of the same figure. If I think a company is going to do their own take, they should do something unique, do something better than the other company hasn't done, deliver on feedback and things that fans have been asking with that specific figure. That would give you the edge. That would make your figure different from the competition that we currently had in the past. Another example would be Godzilla -1. We know that the MonsterArts already looks fantastic. We know that it's going to have amazing articulation. What's going to give the edge to Hiya Toys is the price point and how well their articulation and accuracy is. If both companies deliver fantastic Godzillas, right, and there's very little difference, but let's just say that MonsterArts is going for $100 or $120 on their Godzilla -1, right? Hiya Toys shows up and says, have our Godzilla -1 for $50. It has almost the same articulation, it has accuracy. People are going to switch up because they are going to prefer to save those extra $50 on a cheaper figure that there's barely any difference